Hi, and welcome to The Insiders on Real Estate and Marketing. I'm Sandy Hibbard, and this is my co-host, Troy Olson. And we're going to be talking about real estate and marketing and how to build a thriving and prosperous real estate business. One of the things that I was saying earlier today in my story that I posted on Instagram was I'm getting ready to do something that makes me uncomfortable. And one of those things we have to do in building a business sometimes is jump into the uncomfortable zone, right? I want you to write this down. Our Instagram page where you can watch these podcasts is going to be at Insiders Podcast, or you can visit theinsiderspodcast.com, which is our website. And on that website, you can sign up so that you're on our list, and every time we have a new podcast, we'll let you know, and you won't miss anything. Troy.
Happy holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you.
We're doing this. We're excited about 2020. We really are. Obviously, the end of a decade and the start of a new one. There's opportunities and challenges that we all face. I have it in my business. You have it in your business, and that's why we're bringing our viewers the insiders.
Yeah, the insiders. So the whole idea of the name is to show an inside look at what's going on. You know, sometimes you've got a new business. You've got a new project that you're launching. You might not be real sure-footed about it. And so Troy and I are hoping to bring content to you that will help you navigate all that stuff and avoid the landmines that might blow you up in a project or in a business. It's exciting to go into a new year. It's always scary, but always exciting to me because I always think it's like a blank canvas. And you can put away everything in the last year, and in this case, in the last decade, and start fresh.
Well, in real estate, nobody cares what you did last year. We always focus on what we're going to do this year. Right. So I'm going to be talking, obviously, about real estate, and Sandy's going to be talking about how to market your business and stay in front of your clientele.
The market has changed so much in the last decade. I mean, it's a completely different landscape than what we've been used to. And this is why I feel like that shows like this are important. Everybody's out there winging it on their own right now. If you've got the tools on hand and the time and the imagination to put stuff together, you can build a business for free practically. So the things that are out there and the challenges to do all that is kind of crazy. I want to introduce Troy Olson, and he is a friend of mine and a client. We've worked together since 2008,
I was going to say it's been 10, almost 12 years.
Almost 12 years, crazy. So, I've watched his business do twists and turns, and I've watched him do partnerships and projects that failed and wasn't so great. And I've watched him do things that, were the deal, that won him money and prestige in the industry. So Troy, so that everybody can kind of get to know you a little bit, I have some questions I want to ask you. Number one is, who is Troy Olson?
A simple farm boy from Wisconsin. Grew up in a town of 400 people. There were 13 kids in my class until my 8th grade year. Graduated with 47 kids. And went off to
47
in my graduating class, and that was 2 towns combined after a consolidation. So
wow.
My entire graduating class would fit on a school bus very easily, very comfortably.
Yeah.
So I was 22 years old before I got on a commercial airplane. So I went from a town of 400 people to a college town of 50,000 to Minneapolis. To Phoenix, and then to DFW. So I kind of took gradual steps as far as the number of people surrounding me. But
and now here you are in Dallas. What, 12 million people here now?
So
or something?
they project 10 million by 2030 here in DFW, and we're about 6.5 now. So I think that we're in a great industry to capitalize on the growth that is coming into our market.
Yeah. Well, when did you start thinking about real estate? I mean, you come from the cows and milking. And
growing up on a farm, in a small town, I started thinking about real estate when we would buy or rent another farm for the cropland to feed our cattle, and it was an acquisition, so I started thinking about farm and ranch. But as far as like the residential side of the business, I have a relative in Minneapolis that every 2 years, she would buy another house or a new house, and I never understood that when I was younger in high school. But the whole leverage and capitalize on the equity and roll that and just keep going bigger. And when I got to Arizona in '98, I was in the telecommunication industry, but when it came time to actually buy my first house, that's when I got real serious about residential real estate and decided to just go get a license and represent myself.
So how old were you when you got that first license?
26.
Yeah.
26.
And you were where again?
I was living in Scottsdale.
Yeah.
And so I got my real estate license in January of 2004 in Phoenix, which ironically wasn't necessarily the great time because things had kind of started to pull back in Arizona in '04 and '05. So.
Wow, what a change!
It was.
What a shift!
It was like I said. I was 22 years old. Didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
Had never been on an airplane. I walk out of Sky Harbor Airport and it's raining. Sideways. I didn't know what a monsoon was. Stopped.
No, but you knew what blizzards were.
I knew what blizzards were, but in fact, I'll be going into one of those in about 10 days. So,
right.
But it was culture shock, for sure. It was, super hot, and it was one of those things where I was bound and determined that I was going to figure it out and I was going to make it work.
Right. So why residential real estate?
I guess when it come time to do my first deal, which was my own deal, thinking, oh, this is easy. Well, it's not easy. And then that deal turned into a deal for a neighbor and then another contact and another contact. So you slowly start to, build your sphere and, what you're taught by real estate coaches and education is everybody in your phone is a potential, referral or an opportunity for you. You got to talk shop, everywhere you go, everybody knows a realtor. It's just how are you going to stand out from the next one?
Well, absolutely. Was it one of those tours of duty that you did that brought you to Dallas, or one of those referrals that brought you to Dallas?
So I was working in the telecommunication industry starting in '98, and then moved to Phoenix in '04, and did the whole corporate America thing for a little while, and then I got recruited to a different company where I was more of a regional rep, and Texas was part of my territory. And I had come over here for a weekend, and my buddies took me to the Byron Nelson, and I was struck. I'm like, wow, this is a great environment. This is a lot of fun. It's a great sports town. Huge country music fan. I love steak and potatoes. So DFW had everything that I wanted. I could be downtown Dallas, at a Mavs game in 30 minutes, or I can be out in the country, kind of how I grew up in 30 minutes. Two great major airports here, and the business was booming here, so it was a pretty easy decision to move here in the fall of '05.
I remember when I first met you, when we were working together, and when I found out that you came from Wisconsin, and milk farm. And I was so surprised because you seemed so fitted for the city and for Dallas. Do you ever miss the country?
Absolutely. Those are my roots.
Did you just buy a ranch, though?
I did. I bought a ranch in June out south of Bonham, and I'm going to be out there this Sunday with one of my buddies. I call him my ranch hand, but he's actually a whole lot more than that. So he helps me a lot, do a lot of the work. We did all our own hay, and we're going to be working on tractors this weekend and building the shop, and I'm looking forward to getting out of the concrete jungle, get out of this, and just get out in the country.
So you don't get too far away from your roots,
Not at all.
I guess. Yeah.
Not at all.
So, your experience in all of that, you're bringing to the table here on the Insiders. So your experience as a new agent in a new city, getting to know a city, farm and ranch, some of the commercial deals you've done. So I think this is great for people to realize that, you've got a lot of experience in the field to bring to the table?
Well, and I think I've always had an interest in farm and ranch. You know, the Keller Williams brokerage firm that I'm with, they've got a big farm and ranch division.
But that's not your
So,
main thing,
It's
right?
not. Residential real estate is
Right.
still, 99.9% of my business. But the opportunity, again, to, I've represented a few clients that have bought, mini ranches or hobby ranches, not just the two that I've bought and sold personally. But yes, residential is my main forte every day.
Okay, cool.
So
how can everybody get a hold of you? What's the best way for people to reach out to you if they want to get more
so,
hands-on with you?
Cell phone 972-804-8803. TroyOlsonTeam.com is my website. So would love to hear from you and answer any questions that you have.
Cool.
So
what do you want to ask about?
Yeah, tell me about your marketing agency. Where did you come from? When did you start being in the industry, and then when did you decide to go out on your own?
Right. Well, Sandy Hibbard Creative is my marketing agency. I started it as Lyric Marketing back in 2000. So I had a long history in corporate communications, advertising, and decided I was really unhappy in that structure and want to do something on my own. So I had an opportunity to buy Lyric Marketing, and I did. And I always tell the story. The cool thing is that when I bought the company, the client list were all DFW realtors and the big hitters, a few mortgage companies, a few title companies. So immediately I was baptized into real estate marketing. So we ran that. I've been doing that back in the day, from postcards and billboards and print ads and neighborhood magazines. That was the focus of our marketing that I did for my clients. And then Facebook was born, and the whole landscape of marketing and even business changed. So we hopped on that train and were, the first adopters, if you will, of all the social media. And now that's pretty much the bread and butter of my business that we do. But real estate's always been a part of what I do. I've often said that realtors are the best marketers in the world. You guys are out there doing it every day. And people in other industries should really take note of how realtors are marketing. So it's fun.
So from knowing you 10, 12 years, I know a couple passions of yours are traveling and music. Mm-hmm. So how do you juggle your business when you are on the road? And talk about how you got into music and your involvement with that.
Oh, wow. Well, travel is my passion. And funny story about that is I went to Paris in 2011. It took my laptop and thought I'll go. I think it was like a 10-day trip with my sister, and I'll take my laptop just in case. I was working, I think, in an inside agency situation at that time with Sandy Hibbard Creative. And so I took my laptop to answer emails and things, and while I was there, I realized, oh my God, if I have internet, I can work from Paris. So I came back home and I restructured my business and went virtual. My team went virtual with me. We started working wherever, and I kind of made the proclamation that by October I would be working 100% remotely, and I was going to go to New York and work from New York, because that was a dream I'd always had. So I did, and juggling that is challenging, because it's squirrel all the time. You're in Paris, you're trying to work and do your posts for social media at 7 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden you want to get outside and get out in the vibe of the city or wherever you are. The cool thing is that you can do it, but you also have to be really diligent with your time management, and that's how I do it. So as long as you have internet and a laptop and all your files are secure, then you can rock and roll. Music-wise, I've been a singer my whole life. I was raised in the church. I'm a PK, yes, one of those wild ones. And grew up singing gospel music, and it just kind of segued into R&B and jazz, and that's my love. Now my daughter is singer-songwriter. Sarah actually is her name that she uses on the stage. So we bring it all into the family.
Very cool.
Kind of works.
How would our viewers get in touch with you?
Get in touch with me at sandyhibbardcreative.com. I think he's going to flash that up on the screen for you. If you want to text me, it's 214-208-3987. And it's important to note about Sandy Hibbard Creative that we help you plan, create, and execute your marketing. So if you don't have a marketing plan, I'm your girl. If you have it, but you need someone to execute it, I'm your girl. So, yeah.
So let's move into the challenges of building and marketing a business. What are some of the opportunities you've been able to capitalize on? Obviously, you said you started with a book of business of realtors, but what are some of the other opportunities that has led into?
Oh man, looking over the last 10 years, and that's what we're going to do. Let's look at the last 10 years and opportunities. Was buying Lyric Marketing. That was huge for me. Opportunities, leveraging who you know. So I've had great clients that opened doors for me. I've had businesses that heard of me that opened doors for me. So I think being able to leverage those opportunities that are around you and take note of those opportunities that are around you has been really key for me. They're there for the picking.
Sure.
You just have to be alert and aware and not afraid to jump on them, right? Because there have been tons of opportunities in the last 10 years.
What would you say the biggest success factor for you has been the last 10 years?
Oh, probably social media.
Okay.
Yeah.
Getting in early, adopting.
Getting in early and adopting it. Back in the day, I was going in and teaching people. Now, there's a younger generation that's coming up behind me, and they've completely taken that spot. But back in 2006, I was the one that was out there talking about Twitter, talking about Facebook, and creating videos on that was really not something that anyone else was doing. So that created a really great opportunity for me. What about you, though, in real estate, as far as opportunities go? What did you see in the last 10 years?
I would say, the large corporations that have moved to our area, being
Huge.
able to capitalize on that. Obviously, we've seen a record low run of interest rates, so the buyers have been there. The appreciation levels of homes. I think at one point DFW was 56% over a 7-year run. That's obviously huge. So I mean those are a few things that stand out to me.
Yeah, cool. I think of challenges in the last 10 years. And the thing that comes to my mind first as a marketing professional is money.
Yeah, because how do you know where to spend it? And if you're not tracking everything, you don't know what's working and what's not working.
Right.
We were talking the other day with a coworker about bandit signs if we're going to be looking for real estate flip and wholesale opportunities. And it's like if you're going to compare two cities, professional signs or handwritten signs, we're going to drop the number of signs in one city compared to the next city at the same time. You've got to get very strategic, and you've got to track it down to that detailed of a level, so
what you're spending,
where
Absolutely.
you're spending it, and where those opportunities are coming back in return.
Yeah, that's for sure. And 10 years ago, or the last 10 years, money was a factor in marketing because it was so expensive. Marketing agencies like mine, we controlled it. 10 years ago, we controlled what kind of marketing was done. And today, you control it. Your marketing is in your hands and under your control. So the playing field has been totally leveled, and allowing anyone who has an imagination and the chutzpah to come in and create a marketing plan and execute it, because the opportunities are there that aren't going to cost you an arm and a leg.
And that's one of the things that I want to touch on. Don't fight technology, embrace it.
You have to embrace it, like you said, and be
10 years
comfortable
ago,
with
5
it.
years ago, would we be in here doing this?
Well, it would have cost us tens of thousands
Sure.
of dollars to do this 10 years ago in the last decade. So again, I'm kind of repeating myself, but it really is something to emphasize that the playing field is level. For realtors right now, for you to build a thriving business, having all the tools at your disposal is incredible. The challenges that we had in the last 10 years are different in moving forward to 2020, I think.
Well, and when the market has been so strong, there's a lot more real estate agents in DFW than there were, 10 years ago or 5 years ago.
So, the next 10 years, I'm going to say the biggest challenge that we're all going to face is sifting through the noise.
Yeah.
Getting your content out there and being heard. Even right now, that's the biggest challenge we all have.
Well, and at the end of the day, it's still going to come down to relationship building.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're in the studio because of a relationship, that we have here. But if you can stay in front of your audience, consistently and be creative, those people are still going to refer you business and help you continue to grow.
I think that you don't have to embrace every single piece of technology. There are many things out there, like you were saying. You have to choose, I think, carefully according to what you're capable of executing. You need to select what works for you. Social media is a no-brainer. Where do you go on social media? The answer is, where are your people? Where are the people you're wanting to reach?
Your followers.
Yeah. And how does a realtor do that? How is a realtor going to cut through the other 50,000 realtors that are in Texas to make a stab at it?
Well, and I think it's, like you said, it depends on where your audience is. Is your audience, sellers in the subdivision that you live in and you're farming? Or are you going after the millennial buyer that is online and on apps? And then that's where you've got to be in front of them with that method.
So another thing I was thinking about is the loss of old school methods. So in the last 10 years, we've really seen a shift from a lot of the old school methods, especially in real estate, to new technology tools. How do you feel that comes into play for moving forward in the next 10 years?
So let's say you want to acknowledge a past client's birthday. You used to, buy a box of birthday cards and on their make sure it was arriving on or around their birthday. Now you get to tell them happy birthday, on Facebook, or using some technology like BombBomb videos. Record a video, happy birthday Sandy, and send it out to you. The open rate on video is higher than leaving a voicemail. It's higher than sending an email. So there's an example of adapting to the technology, but there are old school strategies that still work. We still host open houses.
Right.
We still.
I think that's huge. I think open houses are one of the key things that realtors overlook sometimes.
Well, if you don't do them, you have no opportunity. So you're either in the game or you're not in the game. Handwritten notes, holiday cards. They're actually, they're going out as we speak.
Good for you.
Today, tomorrow, and they are handwritten. So those are things that I believe that we will always, continue to do.
When I talk in my marketing classes, I'll remind people the power of direct mail, and you think getting a piece of mail, going and printing a postcard is old school. It is old school, but it still is one of, maybe it's the only form of delivery in marketing that we can say 100% it's going to be delivered, it's going to be seen. Right. Email, social media is going to it depends on your ability to get an email through the ISP servers, and I think that getting that postcard in the mail, if it's quality content, means a lot to somebody. Getting a handwritten letter means a lot to somebody. So don't throw those tactics out the window in the next 10 years. And I think that the last 10 years, one of the effects that we saw on technology was people moving away from those things. But I think coming into the next 10 years, we're going to see people move back towards some traditional types of marketing. Relationship building, we touched on that a minute, but I think relationship building is huge in moving forward in real estate. The thing that, if I'm going to buy a house, if I'm going to sell a house, I'm going to connect with you in order to use you. Yeah. If I don't connect with you, if I don't know you, if I don't ever see you eyeball to eyeball, I'm probably not ever going to use your services. So relationship building for realtors, how do you think the mainstream is moving in that direction?
Well, and I think rightfully so, a homeowner is going to be more, emotionally attached to the home that they're selling than one that they are
Oh, yeah.
trying to buy. Whether it's they got married in that house, they had kids in that house, their kids got confirmed or graduated in that house. So they're going to be more emotionally attached to the home as a seller. That's where your testimonials and a reference of, hey, I sold so-and-so's house. The best reference on me is not necessarily what you read online, is go ask somebody that you know and trust about my ability and how I communicate and how I work with them. And that's been very successful for me.
Yeah. And in marketing, look at your social media as not to sell a listing or to sell something. I think the 80-20 rule still applies in that it's 80% entertainment, 20% business. So keep that in mind. People don't want to be sold on social media.
Posting relevance and
yeah, but posting what you're doing, posting relationships that you're encountering and activities that you're doing, I think is really important because, and I mean, I could tell you story after story after story about relationships that I built on Instagram with people all over the world just because we're sharing great pictures. So use those social media outlets to not just sell, but to build relationships, interact with the people that are on there. And I think that's probably the key thing of the future moving forward. There's so much more, oh my gosh, so much more we can talk about, and we will. So thank you so much for joining us. That kind of wraps it up for today. Again, our Instagram is Insiders Podcast on Instagram. Troy and I are looking forward to future episodes and hanging out together in this studio and sharing our expertise. Troy, thank you for carrying this show today. You're beautiful.
It's your content that helped carry it. So thank you all for watching. Have a safe holiday, and we'll see you next month.
Happy holidays, everybody. Ciao.